Welcome to Plan9Crunch podcast and blog. My name is Doug Gibson, and I'm with my son Joe Gibson. And today we're going to do the most surreal moments in cult films. The film is Night of the Ghouls, released in 1959 by Ed Wood. And we want to do the Seance scene. And we really think this is a crazy scene, a very surreal scene that you'll find entertaining. Now, I believe Night of the Ghouls was influenced to some degree by a couple of Todd Browning movies. Night of the Ghouls is about a fake mystic who's trying to con people out of their money. It has some supernatural elements in it, but it is about a fake mystic. And Browning made a film in 1925 called The Mystic, a silent, about that subject. And his final film was called Miracles for Sale in 1939, also about fake con men in this industry. Browning grew up in he became a man in the carnival era, so he was fascinated with that type of stuff. Now, Ed Wood, with Night of the Ghouls, that is a sequel to The Bride of the Monster, and it's a semi-sequel to Plan 9 from Outer Space. The character of Duke Moore, who plays a cop in two of these movies, he is in Night of the Ghouls. He's actually not in Bride of the Monster, but they act like he is, really, in this film. And continuity is not a big factor in Ed Wood movies. Now, one person who's in this entire movie is Kelton the cop, played by Paul Marco. Kelton's really goofy by the third movie. He's sort of comedy relief. Paul Marco used to love to call those three movies Plan 9 from Outer Space, Bride of the Monster, and Night of the Ghouls, the Kelton trilogy. It may have been to him and two or three people, but otherwise he's just in all three of the movies. Now the Seance scene is it's really weird, and I think it's probably one of the strongest parts of Night of the Ghouls, because Ed Wood just went crazy on this by throwing in everything but the kitchen sink, whether it be fake skeletons, what looks like either an appliance or a fake eyeball, somebody talking with their tongue sticking out. We're going to watch it. It takes about 7 or 8 minutes, but it's quite interesting to watch. By the way, we own the new Blu-ray of Night of the Ghouls, which has the title Revenge of the Dead, but this is from YouTube, Night of the Ghouls. But I recommend you get that Blu-ray. So, Jack, let's start it now and watch it, okay? Great.
Since Mrs. Wingate Yates Foster, through my benevolent society, wishes the arising of her dear
That's Kenny Duncan, who was a good friend of Ed Wood. Kenny Duncan had a voice a lot like Lon Chaney, particularly in Son of Dracula. And there is one reference guide of that era that incorrectly identified Kenny Duncan as Lon Chaney Jr.
Through my powers of the supernatural, I, and I alone, can bring him to this room tonight, from that place in the deep blackness of death, from which no visitor is to return.
And there's Duke Moore, who's observing. He's a police officer in this film. You'll see him make facial expressions, which aren't greatest acting in the world, but they're interesting. See the skeleton's just sitting there.
Through the powers of Dr. Acula, will again be permitted to walk.
I like the use of music and bongs like that in this film too. I guess the trumpet's calling the spirits or something here. And the music too is pretty cool. She's a mark they're trying to con money out of. Is the ghost coming to visit them? This is just throw everything but the kitchen sink in this scene. He's another mark. There's either an eye or something. And the skeptical inspector.
Many questions wish to be answered by those left behind can only be answered by those gone on. those with the all-seeing eye.
See how the con man who works with Kenny Duncan is holding your hand.
Such is our desire tonight for Mrs. Wingate Yates Foster.
And now we're cutting away to, this is Jeannie Stevens. We're cutting away to Kelton outside, and she's like the black ghost. I personally believe Jeannie Stevens' footage in this film is from a lost movie called Night of the Banshee that Ed Wood made, a short. Not everyone agrees, but I'm pretty confident that that film probably had Jeannie Stevens in it. Here's Paul Marco overacting a little bit here. Jeannie Stevens generally looks pretty creepy in this film. Back to the seance now.
The light of mortal existence will die. Only the spiritual light may prevail within this room. We are waiting, O spirits of the dark world beyond. We are awaiting your judgment, your all-glorious knowledge of truth and righteousness.
We're getting close to what I think is the weirdest Surreal part of this scene, where someone starts to talk. Here it is. That's Bud Osborne in front of an Ed Wood regular actor, in front of Duke Moore. I've never quite been able to figure out what that guy is saying. I love you, maybe might be in there. He's doing something with his teeth. And then this is supposed to be the late husband of the woman we just saw. He's played by Dr. What's his name? Tom. Well, he's the same guy that played the fake Bela Lugosi in Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Dearest Maud, you wish my advice on
Tom Mason.
marriage. I have consulted with the Prince of Darkness who rules my destiny.
So now it is my fond desire, in knowing it is right, you should marry again.
And that is Criswell's
Though
coffin.
he whom you have chosen may be younger in years. He is strong in health, strong to take care of you, to handle your business, your personal affairs. He will do fine
Duke doesn't
things for
approve
the
here.
remaining years, until you join with me here in the afterworld. He will be of great inspiration and help. Be good to him. Be kind. Permit him a free hand in leading you
You
on.
see how the fake corpse is telling his quote-unquote former wife to listen to everything that guy says on financial matters.
Of the dark world believe.
Now I grow weary, weak. The strain of spanning the everlasting is so tiring. How say you, Maud?
Maud, tell us.
I'm so happy you feel this way, Wingate. It means so much to me. And I've been so lonely all these years alone.
I leave now. Until we meet again, come to me with your problems, and I will guide you. Believe in me. And believe in our new friend of your world, Dr. Acula.
Kenny Duncan's called Dr. Acula.
All important for our meeting in your
And there's
world.
Duke Moore upset again.
Remember, Maud, dear, Do all I have directed until we meet here in my world. Goodbye for now, dear.
I love the formality of everything right now. Okay, I think we can probably move away from it now. All right. So Joe, have you ever seen a seance like that before?
No.
What's the most bizarre part of it in your opinion?
The guy saying ongo bongo or whatever he was saying.
Yeah, you have to give Ed Wood credit. I mean, he thought of just about any kind of weird thing he could put in there. And this was a very low-budget filmmaking. I think that Ed Wood wanted to make more, and he sort of got into the point where he had to throw in, with Night of the Ghouls, he had to throw in stuff from a juvenile delinquent movie he made that never released called Hellborn. He also threw in scenes from a short film that was lost for a long time called Final Curtain, and that is also in the middle of this film. And as you see that black ghost, he took some other scenes. But I think this film underscores that why a cult film cannot really be replicated. You can laugh at Night of the Ghouls, but I guarantee you the more you watch it, the more you'll actually like it, because you're seeing something, while it's micro budget and the acting is... it's just funny to me when Duke Moore's making those facial expressions. Duke Moore, the only films he ever made were made for Ed Wood. And I love the guy, but he wasn't the greatest actor in the world. Thank you for listening to this episode of Plan9Crunch, Most Surreal Scenes in Cult Cinema, Night of the Ghouls Seance. Thanks to Joe for helping out with this. And remember, Plan9Crunch is on Facebook, it's on YouTube, it's a podcast, and the blog is plan9crunch.blogspot.com. But you spell it out Planine in the blog. Once again, thanks for your time. We'll be back. I'm Doug Gibson. That's a wrap.